What we're gonna do now is we're gonna go over how to dump the tanks. The first sewage tank that has all the hoses is on the very back driver's side corner of the RV. That's where your first set of tanks are. The second one is right in front of the driver's side rear wheels. That's where your second set of tanks are. So now we'll go into how to actually dump the tanks. On to the dumping of the sewage. The first thing that you do, obviously you open up the cargo bay door, remove your tubes, just store them out of the way. Before you take any type of caps or unscrew anything, you always want to make sure that these are pushed closed, okay? Make sure that both those handles are pushed closed, because you don't want to take this cap off and then have stuff come out. So always double check and make sure that those are pushed closed. If you've got some gloves, put the gloves on. There should be some gloves on the side for you. Makes it a little bit cleaner in case anything does come out. But really this process, really you shouldn't need gloves, but if for some reason something does happen, then you'll be lucky, then you'll be happy that you put some gloves on. If these gloves aren't in there, a lot of people just buy those disposable gloves that you can use. All right, you'll unscrew, and then after you've made sure, I even double and triple check to make sure that I've pushed these things closed. All right, now I go to unscrew this, and then I put it out of the way. I come down and grab my sewer hose, and I come up underneath the RV and hook on. It just twists on, and once those, it doesn't snap into place, but you'll know when it's on there nice and tight because you can't turn it anymore, okay? Now, you'll take the other end of this and you'll put this into the ground. Normally at the campsite or at a dump site, there's gonna be it's either PVC or it's gonna be like an iron pipe coming out of the ground, and this is threaded here. You always want to have this secured into the ground. So you'll screw this into the ground if you can, and then you will pull the tanks. The reason you want to make sure that this is secured via either screwing it into the ground or somebody stepping on it, some type of weight, is when you first go to pull this lever and all the stuff comes rushing out, the difference between all the pressure coming out of this and nothing in the ground, this thing will pop right up out of the ground if it's not secured, and sewage will go everywhere. So you want to make sure that this is secured into the ground, okay? So if you can't screw it into the ground, you probably want to have two people doing this. So you put that into the ground, okay? Then you come over here and you pull the black tank first. That's going to be your sewage tank. You pull that one first. Once you stop seeing it flow through the elbow, then you go ahead and close it, okay? You never want to have them open at the same time, because then they'll backfeed into each other and it'll cause smells. So you pull the black one first. Once it stops flowing through the elbow, you push that closed. Then you pull the gray one. The gray line is just going to be soapy water from washing your hands, taking showers, things like that. The idea is that it rinses out your hose and keeps the smell of sewer gases down. All right? When you're done, when that's done, when you stop seeing it flow through the elbow, you push the gray one closed again, and then you twist this off, okay? Don't just drop it, but walk it gently to your dump site, so that way you get the rest of the soapy water out of there, and then you're good to go. Again, double check, make sure that these are closed, and then twist the cap back on, and then you can put this back into place and put your hoses back in there. If you've done it right, you shouldn't really get in contact with anything. If you've done it wrong, like you didn't have weight on there or you didn't quite screw it in, it's common courtesy, clean up your mess if you did make a mess. But if you've done it right, if you've followed the guidelines in the video, you shouldn't have a problem. So that's how you dump the tanks. And this is true on this one. And we'll pause for a second here in just a second, and I'll go show you where the other one is and how to hook that up. But the process is the exact same. So let's head on over there. All right, so we're at the other sewage dump site. So again, it's still the same process. Unscrew. Before you take the cap off under here, make sure that those are push closed. Twist the cap off, and then come in up underneath and hook it on. Same process as before. Make sure you screw that into the ground. But this is the one that people tend to forget. Don't forget about this one, because this is where you can incur some extra charges, because I don't like dealing with other people's sewage. So in order for me to dump the tanks, I charge $100. Whereas all the campgrounds in the state of Michigan, it's free if you stay there. So please, please, please make sure that you dump them first before you bring it back to me. Now, if you happen to dump the tanks while you're out on vacation, these tanks are like porta potties. You have to have some type of fluid in the bottom in order for stuff to start breaking down. So once you've dumped the tanks, go inside the RV, and if you have a bucket, dump like a couple gallons of water down the tank, or if you don't have a bucket, run the toilet for 2 or 3 minutes so that way you have a liquid base in there so things can start breaking down. So if you happen to dump the tanks while you're out on vacation, just make sure you put a little bit of fluid back in the tank after you've buttoned everything up and you're back inside the coach. So that's how you dump the sewage tanks.